astrological support with our solar plexus. Boom. Wasn't what I planned to say, but there you go. Sometimes you just got to go for it. Hey, guys, we are really excited to bring you this show because, as we all know, so much is occurring for us right now. And oftentimes this type of support is the absolute thing we need, especially with someone like Janet Hickox, who is such a legend, as we all know, a brilliant astrologer and a very gifted way of sharing this information in a very powerful and positive way, which can lift us up, inspire us, and just bring us through those moments of fear and sometimes even sheer terror. So I'd like to remind you before we start, guys, that you are a divine being, right? I know that you know that. And if you don't, well, I'm telling you, you're a divine being. And we're not here to tell you what to do. We're not here to change your mind on anything. So please remember that none of Angel Heart Radio shows are designed, nor should they be used to replace your legal advice, your medical advice, any professional advice, nor your own sound judgment. Caroline Cross, ta-da! Hello, love.
Good morning, Anaya. It's lovely to be here, and it's even better to be here with the wonderful Janet.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
I get it wrong. I have a friend, and she says her name one way, and you say it another. It's such a funny thing. Anyway, I'm delighted you're here today because it's such an interesting topic, and it's something that we all need to hear at this time. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here to share more in this saga or tale that we've been telling for the last, I don't know, couple of months, all in preparation for an evolutionary leap that we're already in the midst of. That's the thing, is that I don't know that it even dawned on me until most recently that we're already in this, right? It's just scheduled to be completed by 2027. But literally for the last 100 to 200 years, we've been preparing for this. Humanity has been being prepared, and now we have the opportunity to prepare, right, ourselves, and to be very conscious and aware of what it is that we're doing. And that's my hope in coming here and talking about this, is that this is a huge thing, and it's happening whether or not you believe it's happening, or whether or not you know it's happening. It's happening. So from my point of view, the best thing is to show you that and help you get through it, because that's the important part, is how do we get through this time? Because just take a look around the world. It's a little wonky out there.
So powerful time. And the other great thing is, as you mentioned, that this is part of a series. So once we've completed the series, I'm going to put them all together, so that you guys can come in, find them really easily. And if you're looking for any of our past videos, once you jump onto the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page and look under the video section, look for the tab that says all videos. That's the one you want, and you'll be able to find anything you're looking at in there. And hey, if you're watching anywhere other than on our Facebook page, the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page, please watch us from there, because we can read your comments and you can become a part of the show and join this conversation. And best of all, you can ask Janet questions. Boom. I love that.
Boom. I love answering questions.
I'm a big boom girl today, aren't I?
I'm going to go boom as well.
And when we go boom, our hands do these weird, funny things.
We have these weird webbed fingers, don't we?
Yeah, like.
Okay, so let's get back on track, girls. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to hand over to Janet for a couple of minutes. Janet, can you set us up about what today's program is? We're talking about the solar plexus in particular. So
Correct.
Can you help us to understand why we're talking about that today?
Right. I can absolutely do that. So in the series of things that we've been talking about, we've been deep diving into what are some of the changes that we can expect as humanity moves through this very powerful evolutionary leap. Anaya, you're wearing off on me here. As we go through this evolution, and this is specific to our human design. Not necessarily astrology, although they're all based on one another, built, kind of on one another. And in your human design, there are 9 energy centers. And as time has gone on, human design has changed and morphed as evolutionary forces have come to work on us as humanity and our, spiral of consciousness. And the next step in that is the solar plexus mutation. And pretty much that's what we've been calling it, the solar plexus mutation. Essentially, those are just a bunch of words that says our emotional selves are undergoing a change. And it's a dynamic that is forceful in a way because we've kind of gotten, well, let's just say this, we have had intellectual awareness for a very long time as humans. We have had survival awareness for a very long time. What we really haven't had is emotional awareness, which I sometimes call emotional or like EQ, like emotional quotient, intelligence quotient.
Yeah.
Which was just to say that, we've had these emotions and they've been driving a lot of the energy on the planet. And it's usually in reaction to something as opposed to what emotional intelligence was meant to be, which is about responding intelligently, emotionally to whatever it is that happens in the world. So for example, we have these knee-jerk reactions to things that happen personally and as well collectively, we've been doing that. But we're also, if you've noticed, you hear it a lot more through the different podcasts and radio shows, this idea about emotions being how much more important the solar plexus is in terms of an energy center or a chakra center. And that's likely because this drumbeat, we're so close now to this evolutionary point in time, which literally is only 7 years away. And in the first couple of episodes, we talked about the symptoms that people might be feeling. So I thought I would do a quick review if that's okay, to remind people where we've been, but also to sort of set the stage for where I'm going to go tonight, which is where I'm actually going to show you some human design charts and some of the stages that we're going through, how that's going to change up in our energy centers and in our channels and gates. Now, some of that gets a little technical. So if you're out there and you're listening and you're completely lost, do not feel bad, because if you just go back a little bit to the previous talks when Anea gets that put together, you'll be able to catch up to us pretty easily. And or you can always come to the morning shows that I do. We talk about this all the time. And Anea, you and Carolyn, you can give more information about that before we're done here today.
Before we go any further, Janet, can we just say that Janet's website is living-astrology.com, and how can people catch up with your morning shows, Janet? Let's make sure everyone knows that right from the word go.
Okay, thank you, Anea. That is going to YouTube. So you go to YouTube and in the search, you just type in Living Astrology and it will come up. I'm the only living astrology so far anyway on YouTube. And it's all the shows are there. I'm live Monday through Friday. I don't know what time that is, your time. It's at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So that's likely at 1 or so in the morning for you guys. But you can catch the video later because it's right there on YouTube. So but that broadcast is daily, and we talk about all of these kinds of things, from astrology to human design, the gene keys, bunches of things, right? So going back in time to the very first day that we met on this subject, we were talking about the symptoms that we as individuals or as human beings might be experiencing that would be an indication that this solar plexus mutation is underway. And I would bet that there are multiple people out there who will have multiple signs or symptoms that I'm going to tell you about here. So there are definite physical symptoms, right? There's the nervous system changes. So the tension that we're feeling and our response through our nervous system, that may show up then in food sensitivities or allergies to things, suddenly realizing that you can't eat or drink the things that you've always been able to eat or drink. And that might be very obvious things, like someone who suddenly can't stomach the thought of meat and they've become a plant eater, to more minor things that's like, gosh, I've always eaten avocados before and now they upset my stomach or something like that. as well as other types of allergies, environmental allergies that are popping up. These are physical symptoms of things that are sort of indicating this this evolution is underway. Your relationships may be altering. That's a big one, where breakups and getting back together and rearranging how you are in your relationships, your closest relationships. So often that's your partnerships, your business partnerships, maybe partnering with people in different ways, but as well your personal relationships, marriage, that kind of thing. Which unbelievably, not long after we talked about that, I experienced that in my own family, right? A huge breakup thing that happened that was like, wow, didn't see that coming. And it was pretty interesting to see that. And it's since been healed and being worked on, but whoa, what a, tilting of the world in that sense. Heightened senses. So taste, touch, smell, hearing, lucid dreams, or more psychic experiences, right? All a part of this as well. And I thought it was funny that the coronavirus had symptoms that affected taste and smell. So right there, right, there's an indication that that's happening, as well as temperature changes. So besides the fact that, in menopause, we have hot flashes, perhaps, people who are not menopausal, men and younger women, also feeling the changing temperatures within their bodies, either hot flashes or cold flashes. Just seems like it's harder to maintain a steady temperature. And that's one of the symptoms too. Heart flutters. The heart is one of the big centers in our human design. It literally isn't undergoing change as of itself, but everything else around it seems to be in flux, so it affects the heart. So we might feel palpitations or racing heart, or we're being awakened at specific times of the night to deal with issues of the heart. Sleep pattern disruptions, another part of this. If you're being woken up between 3 and 7 a.m., that wake up time is a time your angels, your guides, they're waking you up to meditate or to clear out your heart chakra, give you a sort of tune up, if you will, to that part of your energies. Mood swings, no surprise there with all of the rest that's going on. Of course, we're crying one minute and laughing hysterically the next. Memory lapses. Now, this one is a difficult one because I think it sometimes is a little bit scary to suddenly realize that you can't remember what happened yesterday, but I can certainly remember what happened 25 years ago. That's kind of a weird thing that's happening here. It's almost like the memories that are coming up that you are remembering are the ones that are important. And there's like little juicy nuggets hidden there that you need to work through. As the electromagnetic fields are shifting around the planet, our old memories are being released. So if there's baggage in those memories, they go off to space, go off somewhere else. But it's conscious work that you're doing in this process. And a negativity dump, right? We talked about that as well, where we're seeing already an increase in suicides, a feeling that people have of yearning to go home, like they don't feel at home here on this planet anymore, they don't fit, or a bipolar sort of feeling where you feel like up one minute giggling and laughing and down the next. So all of these things are symptoms, and they're symptoms of this major realignment that is occurring. And if you're feeling some of those, all of those, one or two of them, this should make you feel better that you're right there, right? You're in the midst of this and you are changing. So what is changing, right? That's a great question. What is changing? Well, I wish I could make this really easy because so much is changing. It's maybe easier to say, what isn't changing? What isn't changing is our heart. What isn't changing is our connection to one another. What isn't changing is our spirit, even though they are changing, but they're changing in very powerful ways. And some of the changes that are ahead of us as humankind are not very easy, right? There's going to be some population issues, as in a population drop or decrease. There can be issues that are going on in the food supply. There can be issues in our power structures, and likely will be issues in our power structures. All of this is as a way to awaken the true emotional beings within us, right? The true solar plexus mutation takes us out of the mental realm that we've been living in and into the sensory realm, where our emotions and our soul live, where we have spiritual awareness, right? Where we are awakening. And we have seen, at least in this country, I'm sure you'll probably see it too, different revolutions of various kinds that are coming up in all different kinds of movements as we push ourselves to become more aware and more conscious and awake. So the real need for us is to learn how to moderate our emotions, to understand what is going on in the emotions. And all of that, again, is changing here, already into play, right? It's already in the process, and kind of coming to a crescendo as we get more toward the 2027 time period. Last time we met, we talked about how the changes in the body graph, your energy template, are what's really driving the changes. So, for example, the solar plexus, some of the gates, the energies flow a certain way, and now those are going to be disrupted and the flow goes the other way. So it reminds me of pole shifts, right? How we talk in science, they talk about the magnetic pole shifting. Well, this is on that level. These gates that are shifting in the way they flow energy. So when you think about a circuit, for example, right? Circuit has energies that flow, and they flow in a predictable pattern. And what would happen if suddenly those circuits went flowing backwards?
Wow, yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Right?
that's a really great point, Janet, because often I'm hearing and speaking to people and feeling it myself that that's what's happening. Things that I've been quite certain about, I'm not quite so certain about anymore. I'm questioning things. I'm experiencing things in a slightly different way. And like we spoke about before we got on the show this morning, when things were sort of going a bit haywire my end because my computer suddenly shut down, instead of it being, it was coming into that place of, okay, this is the way it is. Yes, we'll be a couple of minutes late, but there's no need to panic about it. Staying focused, moving forward, staying, feeling contented about it. And whereas that actually was very difficult for me not so long ago, now it's much easier. Suddenly I'm finding it doesn't have quite the charge that it did before.
Right. I think, we're shifting from probability thinking to possibility thinking. And the possibility is that, oh, okay, the timing is off for some reason, and the computer disrupted me because I would have been in the wrong timing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, right? So the possibility thinking allows us to be more open, and just not to get into those old emotional reactions that we get, the panic that we feel. You and I both had a moment of panic, Anea, as we were getting ready to start, as I realized, oh, I didn't open the program. I got to find it. And then I couldn't remember the name of it. And oh my gosh, right? Panic shuts us down, shuts us off from possibility. So the possibility is I could have opened a completely different program that would have been far more entertaining. I don't know, but I did open the right one. So we don't have to worry about that.
And the other thing about all of that is that this has been so ingrained in our DNA or our thinking or whatever for all of these years. And so sometimes when this changes, it's a shock. And then we realize it's not that hard after all. We just move through it and just change the way we've thought all these years and just move through it.
Right. Just sit with it and be okay with it. And let it lead you instead of you trying to push it away or push it into a different way of being. And the thing to remember here is that humanity is evolving, but so is the planet. So is the
Yes.
solar system. So are all the life forms here on the planet. So it isn't just us. I mean, that's pretty egocentric of us to think we are the only ones affected by this mutation. But literally, the changes are happening on every level to every life form and every sentient being out there. So it isn't just us. And that does, put more, let's say, stress on the system, right, as we're going through these things. So as Mother Earth goes through these, we might expect more cataclysmic types of activities, earthquakes, fires, floods. Certainly the summertime for us here in the US was a very cataclysmic fire season. And let's hope and pray for you guys in Australia that your summer doesn't turn out to be that as it was last year. And we just have to know that global warming, even as an idea or a concept, is something that has been on setting since about the early, 60s, 70s, as we started to really notice, wow, something's different here. And so we have physical symptoms that we can see that are really about this change that's coming. And we'll also have an expectation that our interpersonal dynamics are going to change as well, how we see one another. At this point in time, let's hope it's a change toward more Christ consciousness. That is sort of the thing that I'm looking at, is that idea that we can get along in a better way, that we can see each other's point of view without having to resort to polarizing and that type of thing.
Prayer plays a massive part in that, Janet. Our intention and staying in that prayer energy makes such a difference. It really begins to center us, and of course we're then linking up, even though we may not know it at the time, with others who are also in the prayer energy around the globe as well. And we don't even know who is sending that energy off planet either, right? So we've got to have so much support available to us. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely. And we'll have more support as time goes on. And part of it can be very disruptive and very disturbing. And that's just another one of those symptoms that we know something's up and changing, because we have so many fires burning, if you will, right? The fires, literal fires, are really just a symptom of the changes that are happening all around us. And those changes are chartable through looking at the human design template, at least as it relates to us personally. And since I'm a human, I figured, hey, that's what I'm interested in. What's happening to me? What's happening to my, friends and family and the people that we know? And I want to say too that these changes will continue even after 2027. It's, we don't have we have a date, roughly 2027, of when the mutation has changed, where the body graph and the template has changed. But those changes will still take another several years to even a few decades to really show us what more is possible. But we have some key things that we can work through. And I'm going to move to share my screen so I can show you some of those changes. Now, are you guys seeing the quantum human?
Yeah.
There we go.
That's awesome.
Isn't that gorgeous? Thanks to Asa, my apprentice. She is a whiz when it comes to graphics. She finds the best graphics, and then she puts together these beautifully awesome things. So here is the human design chart. If you are not familiar with the human design chart, you can go to my website at living-astrology.com and get your free chart. It comes with a free report, so it gives you an explanation a bit about what is going on there, what you're seeing. But I know that I had almost a visceral reaction to a human design chart the very first time I saw it. It was like, called me in, it just was, what is this? I had to know. Thus, I ended up being a human design consultant and pursuing all of these really interesting things. So when you're looking at this chart, what you're seeing are energy centers. So each one of these, and I'm sorry, that's cut off a little bit at the top there, but each one of these geometrical shapes are called energy centers. And the energy centers each have a theme. And all the energy centers have gates upon them. These numbered areas are called gates, and the gates are connected to one another through channels. And in an actual human design chart, the planets play a role in determining which one of these gates or which of the gates are going to have definition in them, meaning you're broadcasting that energy, and which gates are going to stay open, which an open gate or an open center is where you're taking in the energy from the people around you, sort of conditioning, the conditioning field, we often call that. Now, as you can see, these centers are connected by these channels, meaning there's a flow established to how the energy moves through the chart. It's that flow that is changing, right? So things that are changing in the flow are going to change the way that we fundamentally engage with one another and engage in the world. Does that sound pretty good? Does that sound clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, I understand that.
Okay. And these changes are happening in phases or stages. So it's not like tomorrow we're at the end, right? It's going to take some time for some of these things for us to work through. So here we go. The phases of change. We're going to go through basically 4 phases of change. Now, this is partly based on the work of Karen Curry Parker. So if any of you out there are familiar with her, she's to me like the cutting edge miracle worker in human design. She's taken what was a very sort of logically based, hard to connect with on an emotional level system, and she's made it more human and more approachable. So while a lot of these concepts are out there and everybody's talking about them, I really like the way she speaks to this, and so that's what I'm going to be sharing with all of you. So stage 1, and I'm wondering, can everybody see that graphic okay?
Yes, yep, no problem.
Maybe it's just me with the pictures in there. There we go.
Well, you'll only probably see it as a very small one, but we're seeing it absolutely perfectly.
Okay, great.
Full screen.
Okay, great. So when we enter into stage 1, what we see is a change in the flow of energy here in the solar plexus, which is what this energy center is right here. And again, these are not anatomically correct. These are centers of energy, not necessarily in the right anatomical place. But the solar plexus is undergoing change almost immediately. In fact, I think I'm already feeling and sensing that this is in play as we speak. And where the flow normally moves from the gate 39 here on this root center up to the solar plexus, that flow is going backwards now. It's moving from the gate 55, which is called the gate of faith. So faith in a higher power, faith in ourselves, faith in each other. It's moving from faith toward the root center through the gate of awakening. Actually, not the gate of awakening. It has a new name now. Hold, please. Recalibration. It has a new name. So we're moving from faith to recalibration. And then the energy from the root center here moves up into the sacral, which is a motor, the most powerful motor, an engine, if you will, that is always humming, right? It's keeping this energy moving. And it's moving up through the, I don't know if you could see that it's the number 60, up through the 60 into the 3. And this is a channel of innovation. So now we're moving energy from having faith into recalibration, into innovation, and then it's moving this direction over to the 59, which is now becoming the gate of sustainability. So this is really important stuff. And I'm going to try to break that down for everybody now and make this a little more understandable. So we'll pause here for a moment. Our shifts that are happening are visible in the energy diagram called a human design chart. But the shifts are not happening just in the chart. The chart is a reflection of how our consciousness is shifting. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Can you say that again for me, please, Janet?
Yes, exactly. This is while this is a mechanical change as it looks in the chart, it is not the change in the chart that is affecting us. It is the increase in our consciousness that is affecting the chart.
Okay, gotcha.
So it makes sense then that we're the ones, right? We're the ones that we've been looking for, that we've been waiting for, and we're the ones that have the ability to elevate the energy of this particular chart. And, you know, that's coming from our connection to the divine. So we've been doing the consciousness work already. As we increase our light, as we increase our frequency, as we increase the love energy on the planet, we're the ones that are actually creating this shift. And therefore, we're influencing through our actions, through our beliefs, through the way that we are being, the relative speed at which this is happening on the planet for everyone.
Okay.
Now, the gate 55, even in the gene keys, so for those of you who are familiar with the gene keys have shown that the gate 55 is the gate responsible for our evolution. Our evolution meaning the changes on the outside, right? The things that are happening in us as the change agent for the planet, for the solar system. And with that gate, it expands our ability to be faith, to have faith, and to have emotions and faith in alignment so that we can create a world based on different ideas and ideals, where we can become more innovative, where we can create a more sustainable world. And this change, then, just this very primary early change, deepens our desire to share, to be more deliberate in the way that we are with one another, to be more conscious of how we are with one another. And when we see things in an outer world where we see a lot of chaos, or we see a lot of corruption, or we see, you can just go down the line of the negative things that we see in our outer world, it's really about how do we now take the energy of faith and combine it with emotional IQ, EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, and put that to work for us in innovating and creating a new world that is based on sustainability. Because you have to admit, everything that we've been doing up until this point is chewing up resources and spitting it out the other end with no way to really act on in a sustainable way. Whether that's fuel that we've used, whether that's how we cut down trees, how we build houses in areas that are fire prone, and we end up then with fire problems, where we build mega cities in areas like deserts that are dry, and then we have a water issue. So now, through faith and a faith in innovation, as seen in this first stage, we begin to address these problems in a new way. Right? Not from a way that, well, let's go on to stage 2, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how that change manifests. Any questions about this?
Yeah, can I just ask you before we move from this one? So gate 55 is responsible for evolution. Gate 39 is responsible for
recalibration.
Recalibration. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I love that.
When the energy moves the other direction, as it does, as it is, has been in the past, that gate is the gate of provocation. So we have in our recent past being provoked to move more toward faithfulness or having faith, right? Trusting, surrendering. We could come up with a lot of different words here, but I like the word faith, right? Trust is another really good word here. Now, with the flow going the other way, we have an established idea of what it means to have faith and to trust in a higher power. And now we're allowing that to flow the other direction, to recalibrate the world, to recalibrate us, right? Reconnecting us. And then we become able to be more innovative and, at the gate 59, more sustainable. It's pretty cool the way it works out, I think.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. And hearing it explained like this, it's really connecting with me. I'm connecting with it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm feeling that connection. I'm feeling what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the understanding, to understand how you're saying it. You put it in a way that it's easy to understand and it's easy to feel within, as Anaya was saying. You can feel it.
Yeah. I'm trying to be deliberate in how I'm speaking about it. Because it can easily wax very esoteric, and I could really get way out there. But I want to make sure it's approachable from anybody's point of view, right? That people can get this. So, any other questions about stage 1?
I'm just asking people in our comment section if anyone has any questions. Please let us know pretty quickly, because we really want to include you and make sure that anything you need information on can provide for you now. And I just have to share this with you, going back to that first slide. And we do have a question from Ursula. Gabby says, I see a lion behind the quantum person. Just saying. Gotta love Gabby. Ursula says,
yes.
Amelia says, you are doing a great job explaining, Janet. And Ursula says, Janet, why do you think the evolution moved from splenic to solar plexus? Why not splenic to G center?
Well, that's a really good question, Ursula. And it goes back to how the human design template itself, the whole of the body graph, has evolved over time. So way back in the beginning, when we first started talking about this, do you remember me saying that we used to be a 5-centered being? And that 5 centers was one maybe Neanderthal man, way back. And then as time went on, we moved into a 7-center being, and that was around 1781-ish, right? That's when we became 7-centered. And the 7 centers in 1781 became the 9 centers. So now what happened in that, and this has a lot to do, why 1781? It has a lot to do with the fact that Herschel discovered the planet Uranus at that period of time. And so where our universe was comprised of 7 planets, it suddenly busted out into an 8th planet that was going to be used. So it changes, the force of that knowledge changes our physical template. And what was the heart center or the identity center split into the heart and the will center. And what was the solar plexus split into 2, the spleen and the solar plexus. So on one hand, we have this energy in the heart here, the identity center, which is our compass, the part we'll never lose. It's where our souls reside, whether you have it open, meaning it's white, or whether you have it colored in and it's yellow. You all have access to an identity that has a magnetic quality that draws to you, like our heart has a magnet, right? That's all around, the magnetic field that draws to us the correct things that we need to experience in this life. But what happened at that point in time in the split, to the heart center here, or the will center, we sometimes call this, is now we had an ego that was developing an individuality so that we could be a part of the collective, but we could also be our own individual selves. We were breaking away, seeing ourselves as the fractal of a bigger picture. Does that make sense so far?
Wow, that's
yeah, absolutely. And with Ursula saying, sorry, Caroline, go ahead, love.
I was just saying that's absolutely amazing. What a wow thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And Ursula, I just want to say this. Ursula says, oh, wow, thank you. The spleen and solar plexus actually mirror one another visually like 2 wings.
And oh yeah, like angel wings, exactly.
There you go.
And at one point they would have been one center. They split with different functions, the spleen taking over the function of survival energy, of intuition and time, instinct. And then that opened up the possibility of this solar plexus becoming a center eventually that would contain emotional awareness or emotional intelligence, if you will. So that is all a part of the plan. That was like the middle stage, right? Our developing this 9-centered human design, or this 9-centered body graph. The next stage now is, what do we finally do with that solar plexus, right? Because that was the beginning of the solar plexus mutation, if you will, way back then. But it takes time to learn how to use a new tool. The new tool that we had was this solar plexus, and the waves it creates, right? And the highs and the lows in which we express emotion. So that is definitely going to be changing as well.
Amazing.
Great questions. All right. Any other questions out there, Anaya, on that?
So far, nothing, but I'll let you know if something comes in. So guys, do please, as we go through the show, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comment section on the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page, and I'll certainly pass those along to Janet.
All right, let's take on stage 2, shall we? This one looks smaller, but we can still see it. Now, again, we're back at the solar plexus, right? The solar plexus and what is changing. So in the current flow, or how the flow is being disrupted now, we move from the gate 6 right here toward the gate 59. So the gate 6 is the gate of intimacy, and the need for intimacy or love is pulling us outward toward the gate 59, which has been the gate of sexuality. And now the flow is reversed, right? The flow now moves the opposite direction. And where the flow in this other channel was from the gate 35 in the throat down to the gate 36, which is right here. This is a gate of restlessness and chaos and turbulence. I think in the gene keys, the shadow energy of the gate 36 tells the tale. It's turbulence, right? It's that idea that things are just like spiraling and swirling. And now the flow is changing direction. Now we're moving from 59 in its new energy, which is sustainability, to the gate 6, which maintains its status as an impact gate. But here's the impact that's changing. There we go. The impact here, when we think of the gate 6 in human design currently, it is called the gate of love and war. It embodies sort of the Libra Aries axis in human design, in astrology, where on one end we have the beautiful capability for love and relationships built on Venus energy, beauty, harmony. And at the other end, Aries, the god of war, where we have conflict and strife and all of that, right? So the gate 6 has always represented that same potential. And interestingly enough, this has been the masculine energy of the chart. The feminine energies over here with the feeding and the caring and the laying down of the laws of how the children would be raised, about how the tribe would proceed forward, with the masculine energy carrying out that plan, right? Through protection, through even warfare, if that was called for, if you were under an attack or some such situation like that. But the gate 6 in personal relationships has also sort of brought that energy of war to personal relationships, where we're fighting one another, we're emotionally reactive to things that we see or hear or sense from the other person. And it has created an atmosphere where we have wars on fill in the blank, a war on drugs, a war on hate, a war on crime, a war on blah, 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 right? So with the flow the way it had been, we were creating the need to create against something rather than for something. Now we're reversing that flow. Right now we're reversing that flow. It ends the chaos that having to react to something that's happened. Like, just take, for example, 9/11. Or we could take the coronavirus. We could take anything, right? And immediately, what's our reaction as people in the face of something that truly impactful? Is we begin to stir up and get chaotic and get scared, and fear gets in there. And now we start to create something that is anti the virus, right? We talk about a vaccine or some kind of shot that you can have because we want to create against the virus, right? When we in the USA experienced 9/11, our reaction was to go after that which wounded us, right? So we're creating an anti instead of a for. Now this energy changes, and we begin to move from sustainability here in the gate 59 to impact at the gate 6, the impact being one of peace and creating love, and to the gate 36, which is the exploration energy, the exploration and ending that chaos created by new experiences, right? When something new happens, how do we react? We get kind of tense and crazed a little bit. And instead, now this offers us up the opportunity to engage everything from the level of faith, having faith. And that as we go to new experiences, using curiosity, that exploring piece, right? Asking the questions that in Access Consciousness we've always asked, which is, what more is possible? How can this get any better? Right? So we've already started this shift in our consciousness when we look at things like movements and so forth, and how do we phrase them? How do we word them? And it's funny because I've been really playing with words a lot over the last several days. And as I'm thinking about words now I'm going, maybe we can use words that create the possibility, right? So if we had looked at the coronavirus in the beginning, instead of immediately going, oh, we got to find an anti something, right? We have to find a vaccine. We have to shut down. We have to do whatever. And I'm not saying that doing those things was wrong, by the way. I think it was smart to do some of those things. But what if we had curiosity about it, a faith that humanity would survive this? That our job now as curiosity explorers is to determine, what do we do next? Right? What more is possible here? We have this virus. We know we have technologies, and we have all kinds of ways that we could come at this from different directions that aren't all the fear-based ways that we could have approached the problem. Right?
That is a really strong point, just to really focus on that for a moment, Janet. It's these fear-based ways that we think someone else is going to step in with the vaccine or whatever it is, but we need to look beyond that to the bigger picture, don't we? What's really going on? How do we really feel? Where does true healing come from?
Right.
Particularly given that 99.99% of all people heal from corona, we've fallen into this big fear abyss. And really, at the end of the day, the only one that can climb out is us. And there are plenty of ladders available and ways of climbing out. And it's this going within, and it's focusing and really tapping in and tuning into this universal love and support. And I think this is a big and important message for today's show. This reactive, this is happening, I've got to have a vaccine.
Yeah.
We don't even know. Well, Dr. Christiane Northrup did a thing on this. We'll go into that another time. This may not be the way forward for us. We need to be very intuitive, and we need to be very aware, very in tune, right? So instead of going into these fear modes, what we're talking about today are other opportunities that actually already exist for us, right?
What more is possible, right? Because when we are curious, when we are open-minded, then possibilities occur, where in the other way, it's only the probability that millions of people are going to die, the probability that nothing's going to happen until we have a vaccine. And in the process, we've missed what possibly could have been like the brightest aha ever, but we haven't gotten there because we've been too busy being in the fear of it all. So,
and to quote you from earlier, panic shifts us out of possibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it shifts us immediately out of the idea of thinking wider and bigger into that more, contained, limited thinking. So
Yeah.
the impact of this is so monumental, and I wish it would happen tomorrow so that we have a completely different world to live in. But here's the
Now,
key.
can I just share Ursula's comment? As within, so without.
Yeah.
Yes. We know this, right? We do know this. Love the synchronized relationship between our energy centers and the cosmos. Again, we started off this show by reminding everyone that we are divine beings. We have to come into, well, we don't have to, but we can choose to come into not just the truth of that, but the reality of that as well, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. This is all consciousness, right? Remember in the beginning when I said, or at the beginning of the stages here, where I said it's our consciousness that's actually creating the change. It's not the chart creating the change. The chart is just an outpicturing of what we have chosen and are continuing to choose. So we are choosing as humanity to keep moving forward toward possibility thinking, toward having more curiosity, toward having more faith in a world that supports us, that's sustainable, that we are just crazy enough to save ourselves, right, in all of this. As soon as we get out of our own way and start, stop thinking in the downward spiral and start thinking in an upward spiral. And before we leave this particular stage, I wanted to also say that sexuality is changing in all of this. If, as you remember, when we talked either the second or the third time, we talked about how population was dropping, and that likely that was going to have an effect through the male prostate, and more incidences of, say, prostate cancer or dysfunction in the sexual organs that create a possibility of a lower population. And I don't want that to be a scary thing, because it also goes into an alignment with sustainability.
Sustainability, yeah.
Right. The population running away and doubling every, I don't know how many years the doubling factor's at right now, isn't sustainable. No. So in a way, we've created an opportunity where that very thing, sort of a sterility, if you will, can occur, that is at least limiting the population, but not squelching the gene pool, if you will. We're not going to get to that bottleneck that scientists don't want to see in a population. So we have sexual interactions changing, even as we move from that power, that power source being sort of the conflict and chaos in relationships, to the more curiosity and faith of creating intimacy from a different place. Right? We don't have to have domestic violence. We don't have to have, people fighting within their relationships, when we have faith, when we have openness, when we have curiosity, when we're exploring, and we're tapping into love energy and not war energy, if you will. When we become more response able and less reactionary, right? So that's the big problem, is we've been at the sort of effect of the emotional solar plexus and its motor ability at this point to drive high emotion, low emotion, high emotion, low emotion, instead of that nice slow roll of neutral, right? More neutral.
Yeah. And again, our choice, it's all about our choice, keeps coming back.
Yes.
And I'm hearing this on this show, choice and faith, choice and faith, choice and faith.
Yeah.
Over and over again, and how we're stepping, well, we actually have the opportunity to step out of a reactionary way of living. And I mean, let's face it, we've been living like this for such a long time now. It's become habitual as well. And habits can take time to change. So we have to be really loving and gentle with ourselves, don't we? So as we go through this process of change, we then expand our possibilities, and because we are not in that reactionary mode. So we have possibility, possibility. We are not just in probability. Oh, I'll probably feel this. This will probably happen. It'll probably be right? it's all the possibilities that exist, which are beyond anything we can imagine. There's a divine hand at work here.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing that you said that is so profound is the choice, right? It's a conscious choice. Instead of letting the choice make you, you make the choice. And it starts in every little decision that you make, every little decision. Should I put water in my body or should I drink a Diet Pepsi? Right? Those little choices add to the consciousness because you're stopping yourself from reaction, right? I just want something maybe my body's craving some water right now. So consciousness is the key. The choice is ours to make. And the more choices that we make with consciousness, the faster this becomes a possibility, or the more profound it becomes, even in the effect on all of us, right? So,
and Janet, can I just check in with you here?
uh-huh.
We've had a couple of questions which I'm going to shoot off to you later. From one from Tom, one from Ursula. Limitless possibilities, exactly. Hashtag limitless possibilities.
I love it.
Amelia, you're right. So how many more slides do we have to go? How much more information have you got for us today?
I have 2 more slides that I want to go through today. I could keep going. Trust me when I say I could keep going. But I think
absolutely.
I don't want to
keep
confuse
going
people.
Too. Normally I can keep going too, but I've got some stuff I've got to do with my publisher today. So what I'm wondering is, Carol Ann, would you like to continue on? Or B, shall we come back? Because there's quite a lot of information and those slides offer a lot of opportunity for people to ask questions as well. So do we come back and do the last 2 slides, or do I let you guys finish off, Carol Ann?
Well, I don't mind either way. So,
I'll leave it up to you, Janet.
Um,
I'm happy. Honestly, I'm quite happy either way, because this show's not about me. This show's about the information and you, right?
I think, yeah. Why don't we go ahead and pause here and let everybody sit with this for a little bit?
Because we're getting a lot of information, a lot to digest. And can I just suggest to everyone as well that when you're watching this, if you can cast this to your TV, you'll have a much bigger opportunity to see exactly what's going on in these graphics, which is what I'm going to be doing. Sit with your human design chart yourself. And if you don't have one, you can easily get one from Janet's website at living-astrology.com. And Janet would be more than happy to send that through to you. And it's a great thing to have for the shows with Janet anyway. Print it out and you've got it, right?
Can I make a little suggestion here that because we have another 2 stages to go, maybe we fit in another show in another time slot without having to wait for a whole lot of a month or something for Janet. And
I think that's a good idea.
If we, even
idea.
if it's in a few days or, one day early in the next week or 2, when it's still fresh in everybody's minds, and just put in an extra show.
That's a great idea, Caroline. I love it. I absolutely love that.
I like that idea so that it's closer together so people aren't so like.
That's important. That's really important.
Yeah. So so stay tuned. We'll do this maybe next week sometime.
Yeah, we can look at schedules and things like that and be in contact, in the next day or so and work something that suits all 3 of us.
Yes, let's do it. All right. Wonderful. Sounds good.
Okay, Janet, if you'd like to stop sharing your screen,
there we go.
We'll come back together to say goodbye. Wonderful, wonderful. Go back to gallery view. Fabulous, everyone. I hope you will really feel connected to the choice that we just made. I think it's a great one. So do go ahead. Blessings to you all. Thank you, Ursula. You guys have been amazing in the chat room. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, Ursula. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Amelia. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, everyone. Marianne. Everyone who I've not mentioned. Erin. Erin's with us. Yes. Erin says, I will definitely need to print these off. Thanks, ladies. Donna's with us. Oh, this is just fantastic. So we're going to come back and very quickly now and do the next 2 slides, which then expands the opportunity for you to ask questions, right? Yes. So in the meantime, cast this one to your telly and you'll be able to really understand those slides a lot in a lot deeper way as well.
Right.
And this is it. You know, there's so much that you're sharing with us that we don't want to squash it and cut it off. So we want to hear, you know, get the full story, because that's what it's all about. This is so important for us for the future.
Right. And it's a good place to stop for the moment and just let everything sit. And then we'll come back and review and do those 2 slides. Perfect. Great idea.
We'll send you a message and work out a day.
Okay.
That was a brilliant idea, Caroline. Instead of waiting a month for the next one, let's get into it. It's way too long. So
this is too juicy and exciting.
It
we really
is.
do
It's
want to get to it.
It's like, we want to know more.
We're going to an extra birthday party or something.
Yes, it's exciting. And you know, the next 2 are the exciting ones. Oh, so
excellent.
Definitely come back and share that.
We don't want to rush them.
No, we don't. It's worth the time.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck with your publisher today, Anaya, and thank you so much for having me again.
Exciting today. I'm signing off on my book today.
Yes.
So it's all approved. I'll be approving it today. Boom.
Boom.
And boom again, out into the world.
Boom, boom.
So I'll let you all know when that's going to happen. So I'm so excited. 20 years, almost 20 years. It's taken to get,
it's time. It's time.
It is time.
Well, it is time, but things happen in their own time, and they're happening in their own time for a very good reason.
Yes.
And I understand exactly why, because the codes have been working on me for all these 20 years. I'm a completely different person now, and I'm able to do what I need to do now.
Right. So the time is now.
The time is now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Going back from the beginning with Janet. Welcome, Pauline. Thank you. Yeah, Janet's awesome. Connect with Janet, everyone, on Facebook, living-astrology.com, Living Astrology on YouTube. You'll get an absolute wealth of knowledge and information and heart by connecting with this amazing woman. So please do go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Share this out. Let's get Janet out there as much as we possibly can.
Let's do.
You have so much to share, Janet.
Yes. Thank you so much, ladies. You guys are doing such a great job with the Angel Heart Radio and sharing all this love. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Collaboration with you. See you, Janet. Thanks so much. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
And remember, everyone, you're a part of all of this with us. So any questions you have, if you watch on Angel Heart Radio on Facebook or YouTube, we can see your comments, and then you can become part of the show. If you put them in other pages, we don't see them. So come on over and watch over here. Like Angel Heart Radio, please. Share us out. There are a lot of amazing platforms. If it's not Angel Heart Radio, share the ones out that really make your heart sing. It's about the embrace of all this beautiful energy.
It's just amazing, and we're just so blessed to be here, to be able to share this with you, and it's just so exciting. We're coming into very exciting times, so let's enjoy them. It's wonderful.
Let's enjoy them. Wise words from a wise woman.
Have a good afternoon, and
thank you. I'll be ringing you up. Don't you worry about that.
I know you. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody. And remember.
And remember,
come back now.
You really make a difference in the world, everyone. I want to leave you with this really important message that, look, it's easy to see other people and you feel, oh, gee, they're making a difference. But you're making a difference as well. And it's really important that you embrace that, because you do make a difference. And you are here with purpose, on purpose, for a very, very important reason. So take good care of you.
Definitely.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, hang on, I've got to move everything so I can end the show. They're right. See you guys. Love you. Bye.